what is reading, and that reading is thinking. In the classes, your children may come home with some big words like metacognition, or schema, or stamina. All of that means thinking. We've said, and they've discussed, that if you're reading, but you're not thinking while you're reading, then you're not really reading. You're just saying the words, that your brain has got to be going at the same time. So reading is thinking. So, becoming a fluent reader is the single most important thing that we can give our children. If I could do anything, it would be to make sure every parent reads to a child every day. If you do that, they'll be fine. Promise. It will ensure that our children are successful in all aspects of their education. It will provide them with a foundation to follow their dreams. Gotta read. And at this age, we tend to forget that they still like to be read to. That's the favorite point of the day. I walked in Miss Stroud's room the other day, and she's like, "We got 20 extra minutes because of the puppet show," and they had the book out, and it was a Halloween book, and they were all excited and picking out rhyming words. And, even at this age, they still love for Mama to sit and read. At our house, we do family read aloud, so we pick a book and read, chapter a night. It's like a book on tape, so for Mama's the tape.
And if your child's following along with you while you're reading, they're seeing that print, but also hearing you read with them, and they are picking up on that fluency as you read, and you are modeling what good readers do for them, so they're going to pick up from you what you're doing.
And then the discussion that you can have about the book, that's just priceless time that you've got with your child, talking about something that's actually going to end up helping them. So, it's not just the words. When we came along, it was sound it out, stretch it out, figure it out. And a lot of times, kids spend so much time figuring out that word that they've forgotten everything else. That's not necessarily the most important thing. Sometimes the most important thing is the meaning behind the word. If they studied house instead of home, and they're on a roll, let them keep going. Don't stop. That's not that big.
Great that way.
Yeah, if they say mom instead of mother, cat instead of kitten, it's not that big of a deal. It's more about the meaning of the words and the story that you're telling. And that's what's going to get them hooked. Okay, they got to find out what happens next. Okay, that's right. Your child has the skills that they need to become a fluent reader. Most of them can give you their strategies. I was pretty surprised. They can tell you what they need to do to figure out words and how to decode. They've got to read, read, read. We tell them that, if you want to become a better swimmer, you have to swim every day. If you want to ride your bike better, you have to ride every day. If you want to play basketball better, you got to practice. Same thing with reading. They're not going to get better if they don't read. And we spend a good chunk of our day reading in school, and they should technically have 30 minutes at school and 30 minutes at home. We try our best to get ours in. An hour a day. Here's a few simple techniques that you can use with your child to help them improve their comprehension and increase their fluency. We just said read is the single most important thing you can do. Like I said, if I could get to every mama as soon as that baby's born and say, here, start reading, here, start reading, here, start reading, I would do it. Take turns reading a sentence at a time. A sentence at a time keeps your child focused on the text. At this age, you can even do a page at a time. One for you, one, back and forth, to keep them focused. You'll see that your children will eventually point out if you make a mistake. Sometimes make a mistake on purpose. See if they're paying attention to what you do. Ask your child questions about what they've read. Where does it take place? When does it take place? Who are the characters in the story? And what's happening? It's basic story setting, plot, and all that. Be sure that you include questions that require your child to think about what they've read. Why is always a good question. Why did that happen? Why did the character do that? What do you think is going to happen next? Has anything ever like this happened to you? Connections really make it real for them. How do you think the character is going to solve this problem? What do you think is going to happen next? They can predict, make them start thinking ahead. Let your child ask questions. There's no better way to make sure your child understands what's going on if you flip it. Let them be the teacher and you be the student. If they can come up with a question, they already know the answer. They're gonna see if you're right. So you know that they've read it and that they've understood it enough to formulate a question. That is a key strategy.
And also, they should be questioning as they're reading about what they're reading. And that's one of the strategies that we work on here at school, is as they're reading, they should be questioning what's going to happen next. Why did this happen? Why did the character do this? And you can have great discussions about what's going on and what you think will happen. And going back to making those connections to life, you're going to learn about your child and how your child would handle that certain situation if they were that character. So it's also a good opportunity just for sharing just that bonding time with your child.
Have them draw a picture of what they think it looks like, and have them explain the picture to you. Another good thing to do is for them to draw and you to draw, and then bring it back and compare. You know, that time spent with your child is time that is just wonderful. Making connections to our reading is very important in building comprehension. In school, I think is the next one, Stroud. Yeah. Text to text, if they can connect one book to another. Hey, this happened in this book and this also happened in this book. Does this story remind you of another story? Is it similar? Here a lot of times we talk about theme. You know, is there a bully in this story? Somebody being bullied, do they overcome it? Type things like that. Text to self, have you ever had an experience like the characters in the story? Can you identify with this? I know the one we're reading right now, the little boy's deformed and he's being picked on, and the kids are just heartbroken. And I said, I know you hate for them to pick on this little boy. I said, but maybe let's stop and think. I said, have you ever picked on anybody? And you can just kind of see in their face that they think, oh, wait a minute, you know, it really gives them something to talk about. So text to self, how do you relate? And then text to world. Can you think of events that are similar? I was really shocked today. We were studying social studies, and we were doing Christopher Columbus, and we were talking about how the Europeans came over and they found the New World, but they also brought their diseases with them. And one of the kids said, that's like Ebola from Africa. And I was like, oh, okay, I didn't expect that connection, but I was really impressed with what they knew. They were like, yeah, that's happening. They're bringing that stuff over here. And I'm like, okay, back up, we got this. Make the daily reading fun. Sit down and read with them. Have a good time. Do what you got to do. It shouldn't be a chore.
And thinking about that, I'm thinking like we have some smaller children here. When my son was little, I used to get frustrated because I wanted to read the whole story to him. But then I had to remember I wanted reading to be fun. So if his attention span would only last 2 or 3 pages, that's what we did, and then we picked back up with the story another day or a little later that day, because I wanted reading to always be something that he enjoyed, not something that I had to force on him. So do find ways to make it fun, and make it short segments if you have to.
And if you're real good, you can get the older ones to read to the younger ones to get some free babysitting.
There you go.
You know. Yeah, let's do this. So, okay, well, I think that's it. We do have, where'd they go? Oh, right here. Miss Watson, our reading coach, has these to you.
Miss Ed.
All right, 4th grade's currently working on subtraction. There's our standard, the LT4. The first part of that standard was addition, and we are kind of still practicing addition. The second part is to subtract multi-digit numbers fluently. We show the children the word problems. Next screen. We show them 4 different ways. Traditional is what you're going to be familiar with. Then we're going to model for you the place value, how to solve subtraction on a place value chart with chips, and expanded form, and a number line form. And then we'll show you a word problem, and then it's often going to explain cubes. As parents are asking about that. I'm going to write here just because when we first started out, the kid was really struggling with their, so there's 800s, so they would draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We get them to put them 5 in a row just because it makes them easy to go back and count. So because it's in the hundreds place, I know that's 800s. I have 2 10s, and 1 1. And they've done tons of practice on place value, so they know that something in the ones place is worth times 1. They know something in the tens place is worth times 10, and something in the hundreds place is times 100. And then the number they're subtracting out, we just write it here. And these are just tools so the children can be successful with their subtraction. If they have, if they struggle with the regrouping, borrowing, I think is a term you might be more familiar with, then this will give them a picture model of how to correctly regroup those numbers. I don't have 7 $1 bills, so we do what we call an exchange. They're going to take, I've got 2 $10 bills right here, $10 chips. I can take one of those chips, and if I take a $10 bill to the bank, how many ones are they going to give me for that $10 bill? They'll hopefully give you 10. You don't get cheap. So then they just, okay, so it's like cashing out a $10 bill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then right there, they're supposed to stop and go back to the traditional method. What changes did we make here? Well, I don't have one in my $1 anymore. I've got 11. So they make that right here. And then look, were there any other changes on the chart? Well, I don't have 2 10s anymore. I only have 1. So this is a picture model of why they're putting these marks up here. And then they look again and say, and I do all of my regrouping. Some teachers I have them do one section. I like to do all of them. I like to get it ready first, then subtract. And now they look at their 10s. This cashier's only, I need to give her 4 $10 bills, but I only have 1 10. And that's the only way she's going to let me check out. I gotta have 4. I don't have enough, so I'm going to take a $100 bill. And we've talked about all these exchanges well prior to this lesson. If I have a $100 bill and I want to get $10 bills, how many $10 bills am I going to get in exchange for a $100 bill? 10. I'm going to get 10. So we're going to cash this one out or exchange it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And the kids draw these really quickly. You would think it would really slow them down, but I've not noticed that, and they seem to think some of them slow. So then I made some changes here, so I need to make changes here. So let's go back. Do I still have 1 $10 chip? But now I have how many?
No.
I have 11. Did my hundreds chips change? I had 8, but I exchanged one, so now I'm down to 7. So then they would, maybe not. I marked this way. Don't matter, I use this one. I'll just stick with it. And then for those that still need help with the basic subtraction, they can then use these chips to actually take out 7. So I need to take out 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and count what's left. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they come over here, is 11, subtract 7, 4. And they do their counter for whatever they're familiar with. Take out 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count what's left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 11, subtract 4, 7. Same thing over here. Take out 100. 5, 6 is left. 7, subtract 1 is 6. And then we have them check it. We explain to them, if you took it apart, to check it, we're going to put it back together. Take your answer. Add back what you took out. And then you just have them add. 7 plus 4 is 11. 1 is 8, 4 makes 12. And this should match that. And that's what they, our group has been having that on homework. If a child doesn't need to do this, we wouldn't force them to do that, but a lot of them, that really helps them get this straight.
Cubes is it's just a way we kind of get kids to slow down and actually take the time to read the numbers, because sometimes they have a tendency to look at the numbers and just say, okay, I'm going to add, or okay, I'm going to subtract. So it's a way to get them to slow down. So they read the first they read the problem. McDonald's made 762 cheeseburgers on Friday and 958 cheeseburgers on Saturday. How many cheeseburgers were made on Saturday and Sunday combined? So the first thing they do is circle the key numbers. circle the key numbers, then they're going to underline the question. So they underline the question, how many cheeseburgers were made on Saturday and Sunday combined, and box the clue words. Clue words will tell them which operation to use. We have a list of clue words in in my classroom I have a list of clue words that they use. Combined is the clue word. Combined is actually on my addition chart. And then we evaluate how we're going to solve it. We're going to solve it with addition, and then we actually solve. As Ms. Gomez was saying, that some of the problems will have maybe two-step. Scott had 55 marbles. He gave 16 marbles to his brother and 19 to his best friend. How many marbles did Scott have left? Again, you go through the cubes. Circle the number. Underline the question. Box the keyword, which is left. That tells me it's going to have some subtraction going on somewhere. But anyway, if he had 55 marbles, there's two ways you could probably solve this one that the kids will probably do. You can just go ahead and 55 minus 16, which would be 39, and then 39 minus 19, which would be 20. And of course we talk about units, so it would be 20 marbles. They could do it this way, or they can add how many he gave away total. 16 plus 19. And then subtract from his total. Again, 20 marbles. It just depends.